What's up, everyone? Welcome to Unmasked, where things are discovered, uncovered, brought to the light, and made known. I'm your host, Lamar Barrett, coming live to you from PG County, Maryland. If you're interested in finding out about the untold stories behind being a college coach, this is the show for you. Being a former assistant men's college basketball coach for 16 years, there are so many untold stories behind the scenes in the life of a college basketball coach. Now, let's unmask them. Today's guest is a longtime assistant coach, actually a former professional player and coach in the NBA, as well as being a European player and coach. And he's a Chicago native that happened to finish up his high school career in Lexington, Kentucky, Vince Taylor. Now, Vince, he has a great resume. It's a long resume, but it's all worth talking about. He was a McDonald's All-American coming out of high school, attended Duke University, finished in 1982 where he had an outstanding career. So yeah, he did have a chance to play for Coach K for 2 years. For all you guys that are wondering, he finished his junior and senior year with Coach K. But then he went on and got drafted by the New York Knicks in the second round. And people don't remember, so it was more rounds back then. So like that means he was one of the best players. So it wasn't like it was just 60 players being drafted in. It was more. But he was drafted in the second round, had a chance to be in the league for a couple of years with the Knicks, and also went to the Pacers. And then he finished 13 years overseas. Most of it, he was in Italy. He was over in France for a few years, and also coached over in played over in Belgium, where he was actually, for the last 2 years, he was a player assistant coach while he was over in Belgium. He finishes up his career 1997, decides to get into coaching, and he's working for Ralph Willett at University of Pittsburgh, and he's there for years as an assistant coach. And then he goes to Wyoming for about 2 months and decides that Wyoming might not be the place for him, and he has a chance to go to Louisville. He goes to Louisville and has a chance to work for Denny Crum for his first year, and then Rick Pitino comes in and he works for Rick Pitino for the next 6 years, and then he goes to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And while he was at Louisville, they actually went to the Final Four, so tremendous job with them at Louisville during that time. Then 2 years Minnesota Timberwolves, where he had a chance to work for Dwayne Casey, who's now the head coach of the Detroit Pistons. And then also, from there, Tubby Smith, he joins the staff at University of Minnesota. He spent 10 years with Tubby, and that was 6 years at the University of Minnesota, and then 4 years at Texas Tech, and now he's presently down in Florida, University of Central Florida, with Johnny Dawkins, who he actually recruited, or he was the guy who was hosting him on his visit before Johnny Dawkins went to Duke. And I want to welcome to the show Vince Taylor, great coach in this business. A lot of people don't know, great person as well. Just want to say hello to him.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here on your show, and it's great. It's a great thing what you're doing, man. It's showing behind the scenes with us assistant coaches. So I'm honored to be here.
Well, thanks again, man, for coming. We're gonna get right to it. Let's get unmasked. Man, there's no handbook to being a college coach. Man, that's just what it is. Tell me about your first day, first week, first month, after things are done with human resources and orientation, especially when no one gives you direction. Like, tell me what that was like when you first got into the business.
The one thing I was fortunate, I had a lot of mentors, and I've been around basketball so much. And the number one thing is that I kind of knew the players' perspective. But the one thing you learn is you can be a very good player and still not be a great coach. So now you got to learn the details, attention to details, because what happens is the biggest thing for me was, first of all, you got to relate to the players and getting their attention, but also understanding how to teach them. Because as a player, you think this should come easy to everybody, but it doesn't. And so the number one thing with the kids as a coach is, when I first started, is learning to be like a teacher. Just in school, everybody learns at a different rate. Attention to detail, and finding the right buttons to push so those guys to keep them motivated to get better every day. And so as a coach, you learn to wear a lot of different hats. And but the biggest thing for me in that was that basketball was my first love. And so if I'm around it after playing and coaching, I try to get that same feeling, man, and giving and trying to show these kids not only to be great basketball players, but also to achieve on and off the court and learn about life.
Great answer right there. I love that, man. Recruiting. We all know that that's the lifeline of college athletics. Got to get good people. Got to good people, good players. A lot of times you're gonna have a lot of success just because those are the toughest things right there. Because you want to have people in your program that are gonna be successful and do great things. You don't have to worry about headaches at night a lot of times. But talk about some of your best and maybe your worst recruiting stories that you've had over the years.
Well, and that's a learning experience too, because what you find out is you can't go by what all the recruiters mark as the top player. You got to find the right guys who fit your style of play and who you can, just like you said, who you can have confidence in, and the guys and recruiting guys where you're not it's not a 24-hour every day wondering what they're going to do, walking them class, if they're doing this or that. So, the first thing is you got to have really a list in recruiting a kid. I would say probably about 5 or 6 things that are important. The work ethic. Is he a good listener? Is he going to be a good teammate? Obviously, when you go out there and watch a kid play, I should be able to go out there and say he's the guy, he's the best player on the court, and that's the guy we're going to recruit. I'm always going to recruit the best player. Now, I might not get him, but I'm always going to try to recruit the best player. But then the best player might not be the right fit for your team, believe it or not, because now there's so much parity. But, there's always going to be probably 10 guys in the class who are just could probably be one and done, or can maybe go from high school to the pros. But those are the guys that aren't going to keep your program, sustain your program for years to years. There's only a few places like Kentucky and maybe Duke can do that every year. So for me, you got to get a guy that's going to feel he's going to invest his time. He's going to do the right thing on and off the court, and can sustain your program. So when I look at kids, the number one thing is, and it's funny, I know when a kid's playing well, everything goes right. He's jumping around, he's playing hard, he's doing everything. He's listening to the coach. I love to watch a kid sometimes when he's not playing well. How does he going to react? Adversity. Because let's face it, you're not going to have a good game every game. And I've seen kids, when they playing well, they doing everything. They the greatest teammates. Then I've seen the other flip side of it. When they ain't playing well, it's all about them. And that tells you something about their character. And that's the key. That's one of the things I want to see. Because if that kid's still playing hard, even though he's not playing well, he still listens to his coach. I've seen kids, they ain't playing well, they ain't listening to nobody. They ain't listening to their teammate. They ain't listening to the coach. They ain't listening to, I ain't got my points, I ain't going to play hard. I might go sit out. But I love to see guys. I don't want to see them in their best games. I want to see them when they ain't playing well, how they're going to be. Because in this game, when they go from high school to college, that's going another level. A huge level step up, just like you're going from college to the pros, another level way up. And I want to see how these kids play through adversity, how they intermingle with their teammates, and how they treat their coach. And then the other thing is, I like to see them in practice. Because, see, kids always are up for games. It's easy to get up for the games. How's this dude practicing every day? Is he sometime he's going to play hard in practice and always up for the game? It's easy for that. So those are things I like to see, how they always fight through adversity, because I know guys are going to give their all when they're playing well. I've been there and done that. So in recruiting, we always say, and I think it's important, not only for the kid to feel we're a good fit for him, but we want to recruit it. We want to know if he's a good fit for us. That's why you have so many transfers out here, because a lot of schools just recruiting a guy because he's you know, he's flashy, it might be the best player, but if he don't fit the program, your style of play, that's not fair. It's not fair to the kid, and it's not a good move for you. So recruiting can be tricky, but you know, nowadays, I think there's more parity out here. So we want to get the kid out. To me, if the kid's close and the kid might be have more talent, a little bit more talent, but doesn't play hard, and there's a kid with a little less talent and plays hard every day, is constant. Hey, I'm going with the guy I feel is gonna play hard every day and do the right thing on and off the court if it's close, because that's something I want somebody I can, you know, because let's face it, as coaches, man, we're only as good as the players, and if they don't give it every day, I learned that in the pros. They determine how long you keep coaching if you win and lose, and you got to find ways to keep these kids motivated every day, and to let them know you really care about them. And no matter what, if they play bad, I'm always be there. I'm an even keel coach. Hey, you know, because it can be sometimes where everybody's up, man, you the greatest. You pumping them up when they winning, and you ain't there for them when they're going through adversity. I'm gonna be the guy that's always gonna be there. I think it's more important to be there when they're going through the tough times than going through the easy times when they're winning and everything's going well. And that's the times when those guys remember. So for me, it's we try to say, you know, where we are at UCF, and Johnny's a great players coach in that aspect, is that, you know, we never blame a loss on any kids. We blame it on ourselves, the coaches first. We take the blame. We didn't get you prepared, because these guys are young kids. They're young. They're going to make mistakes. I did when I was young. And it's a process. So we understand that. We just want them guys to learn that they can always get better, and to grow up to be, you know, good people on and off the court. And if they have a chance to play pro, hey, and if they do get up there, to give back to the guys that are below them or younger people the same way.
Awesome, man. That's awesome stuff right there. What did you do? Because we know this, man, this business, you played professionally for a long time. You've been through it as a student athlete, but now you're on the coaching side. And what did you have to give up or sacrifice achieving your current level of success? Because we know this business, there's a lot of time in this business you got to spend.
Yeah,
so like, what did you have to give up or either sacrifice?
That's a great question, you know. And the one thing probably I learned, I looked at coaching as the same way as a player. I slept, ate, did everything basketball-wise, but I was younger. But as you get older, and you're a parent, a father, a husband, you use that same time, the same thing. And the hours, there are no work hours like it's 9 to 5. That ain't no 9 to 5 job. For me, coaching is like from 7 in the morning to it could be to 12 at night, you know. And it takes a toll on not only on your marriage, but also you don't have time to spend with your kids and everything else. And it's tough. The ironic thing, just to get back to the present, I see a lot of guys now, man, with this pandemic is giving us time to get back with our families and with our young kids and stuff like that. And if I had anything to get back, I wish I had more time to spend with my kids. But there's a fine line, because you want them to be successful and you want to attain things for them to grow up. So there are no hours in every sense of the word. There are no coaching hours, man. You're there 24/7 for these kids, and it takes a toll. And I know every coach that I've known and been around, man, it's tough. But if you really dedicated, because we look at the kids we recruit and the guys on our team who we coach as just like our sons, same way. And their family, and if they need anything, they can call me at any time of the night. And their parents too, because they have to trust the coaches that once they come here, we treat them like our sons. And I want the parents to know we're going to take good care of them. They did a good job with them, and we're just going to prolong that and keep it going and build on that. So it is tough. That's probably the toughest thing in coaching that it's not like no regular 9-to-5 job, because even it can go from 7 to 12 at night. You still waking up thinking about it. You waking up at 1 o'clock saying, hey man, I got this scout. We got to figure out a way to win this game. Or it could be anything. And that's what people don't understand in that aspect. They might see it's glamorous because you're on TV. They see you on TV, or they might write articles about you. But it takes a lot from your social life and your marriage. And that's really time that you don't really have, that you can't bring back. But, and so it's tough. That's a great question, and it's tough to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, it is. That's when I want these, because these young guys, glad you explained it like that. These young guys think it's just the coaching on the sideline. That's what it's all about. And they have no idea like how much time and things like that is invested. And glad you put it that way, and hopefully they can understand. And you spoke about scouting report. That's the next thing, because that's what people don't realize. Like, you can, if you watch a game or when you're live at a game, you can almost tell whose scout it is, how they're behaving on the sideline. Like, you invested a lot of time. You've watched 7, 8 games, at times on these teams, and you expect these kids. But the thing about it is, we put in all this time. We preparing them with calls, actions. And I thought about it the other day, because somebody was like, yeah, you do all the homework, but then like they're getting like only snippets, because they're only seeing the highlights. They don't see the whole game, but still you try to put them in the best position to succeed. So there's going to be times like that. But then there's going to be times that, it's like you got the top 8 guys down, but here's the 9th guy who hasn't played in a minute, or a guy who's been 2 for his last 30 from 3, and all of a sudden he wants to hit 3 or 4 threes in a game. Coach looking at you like, I didn't know he could shoot. Coach,
you ain't lying.
Hey,
that's hard. That's tough. I remember. I'll give you an example. We worked my first year with Rick. I was working with Rick. You know how Rick is, Rick Pitino. But I learned so much. I'm gonna tell you this, and this is what these young guys don't realize. He made us do the scouting report without the scouting report in front of us. So we got out in front of them kids. We had to know every play without reading it or looking at the scouting report in front of us. So it was almost like an exam every scouting report. And he would mess with you. Man, that ain't it. And you going, oh man, does he know something I don't know? But he just wanted you to know, because the scouting report, like you said, like you were saying, and you know this, you don't want to make it too complicated for the kids. You got to keep it simple. Because at the end of the day, and I was saying this with a friend of mine, it might have been yesterday, is that the game is still not, it doesn't have to be as complicated as we make it. It's about instinct, being able to think quick, being able to adjust quick. But the biggest thing, like you said, that scout report, man, keeps you up at nights, boy, because you're going, shoot, you're trying to read. If I would say this in the scouting report, I always try to read the opponent coach's mind. All right, beginning of the game, what's he going to try to do? Is they going to force it inside, develop, establish the inside game first, inside out. They're going to try to run. We got to get back. They're going to try to beat us on toughness, bang the boards. So in that part of it, we just don't want. We don't want to make it too complicated or make that team seem like they're that great either. So it's both ways. This team, and it might be a team we know is way better than us, could be better than us, and run us out the gym. But you also want to show our guys that if we do this, and that, if we cut off the no easy baskets, we're there to take charges, we can beat this team, and if we play smart. So the scouting report is key, but you don't want to make it too complicated. But to give you a story, I used to, when I was first game at Louisville with Rick, the first play of the game, every coach has a play, the first play of the game. They probably won't run that set that we've been scouting for 7 to 8 games. They're going to run that first set, and you do never, ever, 2 things. You don't ever want the team to come run a set you haven't seen beginning of the game and score right away, because it's like playing chess. When you come in, you run that first play and you score, you're making a statement, and that's building confidence for the guys on offense. or you don't want them to be able to score on no out of bounds play that you haven't seen. Because like you said, Rick's down there looking at you like, hey man, how come we don't, he's killing you. How come we weren't ready for this? But at the end of the day, in scouting, you want to keep your same principles, because you can't change so much every game. And it's a battle of the minds. And but like you said, you just want to be prepared, and you got to be able to, in the scouting reports, not only what they do, but also you're going to have sets that you think you can score against them on. So it to me, that's the fun part, because it's like a game of chess. And each play and you're setting the tone each time. So I love doing that, and I love studying guys. But you want to get in. To me, I try to get into our opponent's head coach's mind, kind of know in certain times of the game what they're going to run, what they're going to try to do. And you want to I tell our guys this: when you're playing defense, you want to take away. If you're playing them one-on-one, you want to know their strengths and weaknesses. You want to take away their A move, make them use you want to take away their A and B move. He might want to go hard right. I'm taking that away. I'll make him go left, make him go to his weak hand. Now, if he can beat me on a move that he normally doesn't do, he might make it, but you're not going to lose that way, I don't think. The percentages are with us. So you're playing by the percentages, taking away their strengths, making them be shooters if they're not great shooters. And then that time. So it's a game of chess, but it's fun. And that's the key with that. Just knowing, the last thing I would say is this with scouting reports is this: you have to build confidence. You want to show and build confidence in your team's mindset that they're super prepared and they're ready for it. And let's face it, you ain't never going to know exactly what they run, but if they feel good about it and they feel confident and they feel prepared, you got a good shot. You'll have a chance to win.
So true, man. That's so true. Vince, like, what's the biggest challenge, man, you think you've experienced since you've been in college coaching?
Whew, that's a heck of a question. The biggest challenge? For me, it was earlier in my career, being that I really thought, because I played the game and I excelled this game, that it just automatically, I would be a great coach. But like you said, you have to rest your ego at the door, and you can't say, well, I did this and I did that. Nah, because everybody's different. And then it might not be as good as you. You have to become a good teacher, and you got to be able to learn how to reach everybody, And I think that's probably that was the thing I had to really learn the difference in doing that. And just being able to, I would say, like you said, listen to these guys and understand and being patient with them, and learning as much as I can about them, how they think and stuff like that. But that's a good question. That's a good question.
Now, I always said, and I said it to you early before we started, and I'm like, I look at you, I've seen what you do recruiting-wise, I've seen what you've done as far as, I know you're great at teaching. You talked about scouting and that NBA background from a player and a coach. And I'm saying, okay, how is Vince not a head coach? And he's everything you want to be. He can command the room. And I was like, do you ever find that there are things about you that people might misunderstand? Like, what are they?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know what? To me, sometimes, and I'm going to tell you, in this climate, you realize this, and I'm saying it in a positive way, but we don't have enough people of color who make decisions, who sometimes I might come in a room and they might say, well, this guy's overconfident. But I'm just going to always, that's who I am, and I'm going to be confident about that myself. And for Black coaches, the hardest thing, I've had great mentors, whether it was Tubby, Coach Ham, Coach Hamilton. Leonard Hamilton I've known since I've been 12 years old. Whether it's Coach K, Denny Crum, Rick Pitino. Learned a lot, Stu, my brother-in-law. And you just learn. Every situation is different. Timing is important. But I think the one main thing is that ADs, a lot of time, they have to feel really comfortable with their hire, because that's also their lifeline. And a lot of it, probably I'd say 95% ADs are white. And I'm not saying it in a bad way, but they just don't feel as comfortable with people of color, especially black coaches a lot of times. And I'm not saying that's as an excuse, but that's part of it. But you know what? I look at it. I love basketball. Whether I become a head coach or not, I didn't get into this game. You know, nowadays, I talked to mentors back then, Coach Hamilton or Tubby or even Coach K and those guys, they got in because they love the game. Now it's playing so much money. Now you got guys who just get in just to get paid. Didn't love the game or think they can read a textbook and learn about basketball. But I got it because that was my first love ever since I was like 5 years old and just love being around it. So you got some guys who come in and just want to be professional coaches. I never thought about it that way. I just love being around basketball, and that was a natural progression. So in that aspect, you have guys like that also, and that's nothing. There's no knock against them because they know it. 12 years old, they want to be a college coach. For me, I just wanted, at 12 years old, I wanted to play the game, you know, and play it for as long as I could. So in that aspect, there's a lot of different factors that come with that. But just like in anything else, the percentages were small for me to go from being a high school to go all the way to the pros. I accomplished that. That was a great accomplishment for me. And I won that against all odds. And who's to say? Maybe I will become a head coach, maybe not. And those odds are smaller, but they're way higher than being a pro basketball player. So I always look at it. There's always possibilities. And if not, maybe I could be an AD or a GM for an NBA team. I just look at it. There's an old saying, if it's one door closes, the first door closes, there's always going to be other ones that are going to open for you. You got to open the other ones. And that's the way you got to look at it. But I think in this climate now, I think there should be more. One thing I do believe, we need to get more ADs, black people of color ADs, who aren't as hesitant and to get to know these kids. Because let's face it, 80% of our players in college are people of color. And we deserve to be represented in that way. And we deserve to be represented as ADs, be more black coaches, the whole nine. And I think the movement's moving that way. So I think it will happen more. It's going to happen gradually, but it is what it is. And so I don't look back. I feel that I've accomplished some great things, still have a lot of things to accomplish. So you never know.
Never know, man. Great knowledge right there. You talked about it. We're all teachers, man. We're educators in this business first. And I don't think people understand that a lot of times. But, like, what do you try to teach your players, man, besides basketball?
That's a great question. Well, the number one thing is, like I said, the number one thing is if you got to perfect your craft, you got to work at it. If you really you got to love what you're doing. If you don't really love this game, you're going to wilt when the pressure gets on because you're going to go through trying times. And I try to get them to say, and there's a correlation between sports and life. It's a huge correlation. You got to be prepared. You got to work together. I learned this when I was in college working during the summer for Montgomery Ward's company in Chicago. And the one thing, the chairman of the board was a Duke alum, and he said he likes to hire athletes because, first of all, he knows they've had to work, they've had to prepare, they had to manage their time. They didn't have much time. They had to work together as a team. And all those qualities are important in basketball, but also a great qualities you're going to have for after basketball. It's like Coach Dawkins has a deflated basketball in his office. Reason being that one of these days, that ball, you're going to get hurt, heaven forbid, or you're going to quit playing now. And that's probably, you're going to stop playing 30-something. I would think you're going to have 60 more years to live. What are you going to do with the rest of them 60 more years? So you have to learn how to strive, fight through adversity, and learn and do the right things on and off the court. Be prepared to work for something you want to achieve for, work together, and believe in yourself. And I think the game teaches you're going to win and lose. But the next time you play this game, I'm gonna be more prepared and I'm gonna be focused on winning. And that's the same thing we out here in life, man. Some doors gonna close on you, but you got to keep persevering. And that's why I think that's what it's taught me, to compete, to believe in myself. And it's the same thing with our guys. And I try to relay that message to our guys and with our young kids of color, to really understand that, to be a role model for our guys, kids of color, because let's face it, there are some, but when I was growing up, there weren't as many. And I think I want to be a great role model, you know, obviously, whether it's for a kid of color or what, or not, or a white kid, whatever. But I want to raise the standards to treat everybody like you want to be treated, to respect, to understand that you have your, I tell you, the other thing we've worked with also is social behavior and treating people and speaking up, dealing with people, using the right language, dress code. Because the first thing somebody's going to hire you or see you, they see your outward appearance. If you got your hat on backwards, stocking cap on, glasses on, their first thing is they ain't gonna take you serious, white or black, but you're a black employer or a white or black employer. So your appearance, and everything else. So it's a lot. But the one thing also, the last thing I would say is that for our young kids of color to really learn your heritage, be proud of that, man. Be proud of what the people before you did to allow you to get where you are now. And there's no excuses. I tell these kids, you have no excuse, man. We got tutors, we got everything in the world for you to make it, to get a degree out here. The people before you had to fight discrimination, had to fight just to get an education. So I don't allow them to fall back on that. And that's the life lessons. I was fortunate. I had mentors when I was younger to understand that. They weren't gonna let me use no excuse. You got all our kids have the resources, you know, and we just want them to, if you use them and use them the correct way, you'll have a chance. And that's all we can do, have a chance. We can't guarantee anything, but if you got a chance, then you got to perfect your craft, whether it's in basketball or a business or whatever you want to do.
Awesome, man. I mean, I'm loving these answers. I mean, hey, these guys people should be listening. They definitely, you know, people tune in, you need to listen to it. What are your best and worst memories in coaching?
Best was, like I said, was playing, in coaching, going to the Final Four. There's no other feeling in the world. I think we went in 2005, going to the Final Four, and just you're walking on clouds, because you've gotten to a place where very few ever get or may ever get, and it's just electric, and you're part of a team, and it's just, that was one of the biggest things, obviously. You know, winning conference championships, but also probably the biggest thing in coaching, man, is seeing the guys you coach achieve their goals sometimes, whether it was Francisco or Reese Gaines, who's at Louisville, helping them to reach their dreams. You know, for me, I finished playing. We always say we've done, me and Coach Dawkins, whatever, we've done a lot of things and accomplishments. Now it's time to get back for them to be, to do well, to help them achieve their dreams on the court. And really, I tell you, the other thing is see these kids grow up to be productive and prominent people in society and with their families, get married, to see their kids and them to get back and how they're growing up, and it perpetuates itself. So, you know, really in coaching, man, you're going to win and lose. I get it. Some guys are going to win championships, some don't. But if you can help people along the way, man, and you see them guys end up growing up to be really good parents and giving back to community, man, that's probably the most important thing for me, because not everybody can win a championship. You just can't. But, and just being in this game, man, you meet so many people and they all become family, whether it's other assistant coaches, we all going through the same. It's just fun, the camaraderie, just being around the ball. So I've been thankful, man, that basketball has helped me travel. It's taking care of me financially to meet people in all different walks of life. And so there's not a day that I was fortunate that basketball's helped me in order to be able to, it's the one thing I tell our guys is use basketball. Don't let basketball use you, and that can open up basketball. Can you open up so many doors? And the last thing I tell our guys on the team too is networking. While you're playing, network. Meet people on campus, because that's when they all coming. When you're playing on campus, you'll meet everybody wants to meet you. Network. Meet people, companies, or there'll be friends that you'll meet. Their fathers are CEOs of companies, or they become CEOs themselves. And network all through that, and like I said, just use basketball. Don't let basketball use you.
That's great information right there. And I'm gonna ask this. This is a little different. So you've been around for a while. Like, what is the strangest thing you've seen a player's done, like outside of the basketball court? We don't have to name names or anything.
Whoa. Whoa. The strangest thing they've done outside of basketball? Oh, man. I can't. You know what? That's a tough one, man. I try to get those memories out of my head. I don't, strange. It's hard for me to say without any name. I don't, because I've seen a lot of strange stuff and immature stuff they've done. I don't know. I can't say exactly. I can't.
I'm gonna let you think on it. Maybe we might come back to it. We may get to that.
Okay.
At the end. I'll figure that one out. But like you said, you've been some different places. You've worked for worked with some great guys. I love saying work with. I don't think guys work for, because you all shoot for the common goal. Right. I mean, yeah, he got to put on his boss hat sometime, but like, you've seen the different things, and like I said, I think this is my opinion. Like, what do you look for? What are your expectations if you are able to get your own program? From top to bottom at a school. Like, what are you looking for? I know you've been at different stops.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to a place where I know that I have opportunity to win, an opportunity. There's no guarantee. Hiring a staff that, for me, the one thing as a head coach, there's so many more things you got to do. There's so many things you have to deal with, but not forgetting where you came from, and attention to detail, and making sure, the staff is what was, like you were saying, the head coach is the president, but the staff, the coaches, the trainers, academics are the ones that prolong your career as a head coach. So getting the right guys that they're going to be hungry, staying hungry. I think it's important, because sometimes you can forget. You're up, guys are making a lot of money, and they kind of read their own prints in the paper, and they forget what it took to get there, and that's when you slip. So staying hungry, and that's not easy to do. But if you have guys around you that's always hungry, who reminds you and push you, and then also, always never forgetting that the most important thing, the most important component in this is the player. Because if you ain't got players, you ain't winning. The coach does not make one basket out there. But if they believe in you, and they know you truly care for them, they will run through a wall for you. And they have your undying loyalty. And if they believe you're that same way with them, that's what we've always said. And Coach Dawkins is great as that he never could blame a player for losing the game. It's on us as coaches, and taking responsibility and holding the players accountable, just as we hold ourselves accountable. higher than the players, and learning that. And it's something in this profession that, you know, when you get your own program, you wanna make it a reflection of yourself. And so it's and that's easier said than done. It takes hard work, but you know, those are some of the things that, you know, that I could say that would be important taking over as a head coach.
Awesome. What's your favorite word or phrase you like to use? You've been around some good ones, so I'm sure, you know, you got some yourself.
I always tell the kids, I might have said this earlier, is perfect your craft. You know, I learned this from Coach Patino, PhD, poor, hungry, driven. Just things that are always going to be, and every player is different. So you got to find different keywords with that. But those that, you know, when I say perfect your craft, and I always show guys, great players, whether it was, I had the opportunity to coach Kevin Garnett. That was the hardest working guy I've ever seen in my life. Every day was about getting better and practicing every day. Didn't miss a practice. And I would say, you know, put in the work. I always say you got to put in the work. The building key phrases with a mentality. And it is funny because there's certain things, if you say the same things over again, they get used to it. So you always got to come up with different things, and you got to relate to these kids. So it could be, hey, I might say something that I just heard in the rap song they listen to that gets them going. And you got to be at their level. You know, you can't be like, well, back then I did it, or no, you got to say things that they can relate to, and it's fun. You got to make it fun. So I might say something, they'll be like, hey, coach, man, I didn't know you knew that, or I didn't know you knew that song. I didn't know you was up on that. I said, come on, man, you know. And but you got to make it fun. And so with me, if we're working out, if they're just getting shots up, I'll put up, you know, I say, hey, man, you get to choose what music we listening to. Let's get it going. Let's get it popping. Just different things. And but the main thing is, I always want to say, hey, man, you can be focused and hungry and perfect your craft, because there's always something you can get better in. And there's not one player I've known, whether it was Jordan I played against or you watch Kobe, they always wanted to get better. And the whole key with our guys is just finding ways to keep them motivated and hungry. And that's not easy. With all of these distractions out here with these guys on social media and the women, girls coming at them, that's the hard part, keeping them focused and understand that, hey, it's us in this gym. That's all that matters. The coaches and the players, everybody else doesn't break that bubble. You're not listening to your aunt saying, hey, you should be shooting more shots, or why are you playing more? Nah, it's us in this thing. And if you can do that to the best of your ability, and that'll help a great deal. So our guys crack up, man, because I always got something new when I come in every day to get them going. And that's what they love that. So.
Good stuff, man. They keep you young.
What's no question. They do. There's no question. I like it.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Wow. Heard a lot. You know, I remember my first year, I was at Louisville with Coach Crum, and we had a kid who was really high strung and tough guy from Jersey, and I didn't really understand it. And I was my first year coming into Louisville, so he wanted to front, you know, get up. No, I ain't doing this, cursed or something, man. So I came up to him. I wasn't gonna do anything, but I was gonna let him know, hey, man, I ain't having that. You know, I was my first year, and the other coach had been there, and I said, man, you ain't cursing, you know. So we came face to face, and I just want to let him, and he was all high strung. And then Coach Crum pulled me to the side. This is my friend. I never forgot this. He said, Vince, you got to understand, with a lot of these guys, and a lot of them with players of color, they're not used to a man. They're not used to another male coming at them that hard like that. They just aren't. you know, because let's face it, a lot of times it's their mom. Now the mom is raising them, but they're the male figure, the powerful male figure in this. And he said, you have to find ways to fuse that and come to a common ground. But I was doing just to show, there was nothing going to happen, but I was just trying to show him, man, you ain't going to punk me now. Oh, because I'm the first, you know, this my first year. And after that, it made sense, you know, what he said. And understanding, that's the whole key, understanding kids' backgrounds. And in that way, and I do this now every day, try to understand these kids' backgrounds, what they've gone through and stuff like that, and put myself in their shoes. So then after that, we became the best of friends. We understood, we sat down, we communicated. I apologized, I apologized for coming at him, and he did too. And it's a learning experience, because the one thing I do know is that, you know, I might be older, I'm a coach, but it's something I can learn every day. It's something I feel, just like them, they can get better every day. As a coach, I can get better every day. And that's the fun thing about it. And I have to perfect my craft the same way. You know, find different creative ways to get them motivated, find creative ways to score, to stop people, same way. So, you know, every coach I've known, whether it's Coach Ham, played under Coach K, Hubie Brown was my coach, Knicks was an unbelievable coach, you know. And the thing I learned from him was that he was a great technician, but far as people skills, hate his guts, hated his, but knew he's the one who taught Coach Pitino and everything. And I'm learning that with these kids, with the changing times, you have to evolve. Can't be the same. Like Bobby Knight couldn't be no Bobby Knight now. Nobody's putting up with that. Coach K is a perfect example. When I played for him, he was more like Bobby Knight at the beginning. You see how he's evolved, and him coaching the pros, you have to learn how to relate to people and motivate them. So those are the things. I've just been around such great people, you know, whether it's Tubby, you know, he's a great people's person, Coach Hamilton.
If you had to choose, because you're not a self-promoter, if you had to choose 3 adjectives that describe yourself, which would you choose?
Competitive, focused, and compassionate, I guess. Those 3 words.
3 great answers. 3 great answers.
Yeah.
And I like to ask this: what person and/or event, it could be persons, has had the most influence on your life?
Huh. You know what? And this would shock you. My first coach when I was growing up used to talk about, I don't know if people have heard this guy, John McClendon. John McClendon. He played for him. Now he taught me first how hard you had to play. And I was like 8 or 9 years old. And on that team, Isaiah Thomas was on that team out of Chicago, Ronnie Lester, who ended up playing in the pros. But he first taught me, I think the younger you are and you learn how hard you got to play and be competitive. He took us to all the hardest places in the world. I grew up on the South Side. We went to the West Side boys clubs, and hey, you had to fight to get in and out of that joint. And it opened my eyes to the mentality you had to have to win and be competitive. Because to me, if you learn it early, it carries over to the rest of your life and then everything you do. So this guy was one of the toughest guys, and people don't understand that. In Chicago, coaches had paddles. In Chicago, our coach, he had a paddle. So if you forgot something, didn't do it right, he would just wave you over and say, hey, you're going to remember this next time, pow. Now, obviously, times have changed, and guys say, oh, you can't touch a kid, but we learned it in an old-fashioned way. And and it wasn't to hurt us, but hey, my shorts would be on fire for about 10 seconds. But he learned it in that way. And he used to talk about John McClendon and learning the game, being prepared, and the mindset you have to have. I've been fortunate to play, coach with Hall of Fame coaches. Don't get me wrong, it's been great. But when I look back at what made me the player I was him. His name was John Paul, Buck. We called him Buck, and he lived in Chicago, and he taught me. And I had another couple of mentors when I was younger that gave me a great foundation. And last but not least, I would say my mother, outside of coaching, because she probably obviously had the most impact on me of who I am. And I know coaches, you can have coaching mentors, but she was the DNA, and she never let me quit. You start something, you finish it. And she always gave me the confidence that I could be whatever I wanted to be in life, and nothing can hold you back. And I think, and that's what I try to instill with our guys, is that's the mindset you have to have, because you're going to have all types of adversity. So by the time I learned this and got in, and then was coached by great coaches and coached under great coaches, it was a natural progression. So, you know, in that aspect, I'm not going to say a coach developed me, because I was already a young man. I thought it was my coach that was way back when I was 8 or 9 years old, and still the values and the competitiveness in me. And my mother obviously was my backbone.
Awesome, man. Awesome answer. Man, I like to ask you, especially guys who are former NBA guys, professionals. Like, there are people in the business that like stereotype former NBA players or NBA coaches when they take a job in college basketball. Like, what was your biggest transition after playing, you know, in the NBA and, you know, professionally, to being a college basketball assistant?
Yeah, you know what? And that's a great point, because what you have, you think these college, there's a lot of college coaches who thought, oh, these pro coaches, they don't know, they just throw the ball out there. No, it's the exact opposite. I coached under Dwayne Casey, and I will tell you this, hardest working guy, attention to detail guy you'd ever imagine. These pro coaches, Doc Rivers and these guys, they know basketball inside out. And I mean, the one thing in pros, which is so much harder, is you're based on what plays you call at the end of the game. It gets down to the end of the game. You better have something for these guys. And you're coaching guys who are pros. So one thing I learned when I was in the pros that helped me, and I learned this from Rick, he said it'll make you a better coach, is that you better know what the hell you're talking about when you're telling the pro guy. Because I tell you what, you tell them some stuff that don't work, they will ride your behind for a week. And you better know, and you figure out things that can help them become better pros, because they're better pros, they're gonna make more money. And these guys are pros. So to me, it helped me take up my coaching game another notch and learn more. And I tell you what, in reading Coach K's book, it made him a better coach coaching all them Olympic guys. Because you learn to relate to players, you learn to push their buttons. So they're great coaches in both, whether it's the NBA or college, but I think a pro coach can definitely be a great college coach. There's no question about that. And I think there's some college coaches that can do the same. It's just, you know, it's hard to go from college, because you got to build that trust with these pro guys. You know, they think, oh, you're a college coach, it's different here. But there's no way, I feel for sure that a pro coach, that you have to learn, you have to know so much more in the pros, to me, that it's unreal. And you're dealing with a different team. You can be dealing with different guys every year, and getting them to relate together for a common good. You're talking about millionaires, they got to build together to come together, put all the amigos at the door, like Popovich, you know, those guys like that. Those guys are brilliant, man. They're brilliant coaches. You can't tell me he couldn't come in college and be no great college coach. I mean, but at the end of and I tell you, the last thing is you find out is college basketball, pro basketball and college basketball are two different games. People think, oh, you can be a great college player and you're going to automatically be a great pro player. No, that's not the case, because it's two different games. It's more spaced out. You got to play defensive differently. So there are a lot of differences. Now, the one thing that hurts probably pro guys coming to college is they're not used to the recruiting stuff. That's the only thing. You know, they can relate to the kid. It's the recruiting and all the, you know, and learning the rules and all that. But they're in the change point. I think they can be great. They, for me, like you said, you have to really have more hands-on in college, because one kid can screw up your program. It can make, you know, if it's in the news, something bad happens, you know, that's all they read. Like in the pros, if a guy screws up, he gets fined, or you just cut him. You can't just do that in college. But I think pro coaches would be great college coaches. And I think the game has moved. I watch a lot of pro basketball because they're innovative. You have to be. The new thing that's happening in basketball always starts in the pros. Think about it. If you watch college, it's all about pick and roll, right? Well, they got that from the pros. When I was playing, it wasn't about pick and roll. It's all about pick and roll now. Pick and roll, kick, mismatches. And that's what the NBA is. So you have some college coaches who are stubborn, saying, oh, man, that's college, that's pro ball. They don't really play basketball. Them guys are very smart. They know everybody's moves. When I tell you what story, a guy named Trent Hassel was a defensive stopper. We sat down. He could tell you all the top players, McGrady, Kobe, you name it, all their A, B, and C moves. This is what he's going to try to do when he gets to here. This is what he's going to try to do when he does that. He knew every one of them in the whole league. So people just think they're pros. They don't study the game. You guys study it way more than college, you know, and so you learn that way. So sometimes it gets underrated. They just think they don't work hard. They work their tails off in that. And so it was a great opportunity for me to see both sides of it. And the pros taught me a great deal about that, and also gave me advantage because I know what to expect. These guys say, oh yeah, I want to be a pro. I said, well, I'm going to tell you some of these things you're going to have to be able to do, and the mindset you have to make it. Because the 15th man on a pro team was an all-conference player in college. The 15th man, the dude that got cut, could have been the league's all-time leading scorer at the school. So it's two different in that aspect. So it's very good. The pros it taught me a lot.
Awesome. And I like to end with this question a lot of times, like, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your younger self to prepare for as an assistant coach?
Wow. You know what? I think I go back to what I said before, because I thought as a player that automatically would make me a great college coach. But I would go back to the basics, to learning, just staying creative and learning the basics and becoming just the best teacher I could be. Slow it down, because I thought as a player, I expected all the players to be able to understand that stuff. When you get back, the first thing I learned as a college coach, as a coach period, is that you can never expect somebody to know something. You can't expect them to know any of the players. You got to slow down, step by step, make sure they learn the fundamentals and the basics, and understand and know what you're talking about, and not rush through it. Make sure they know, make sure the players, you can teach them, make sure they know exactly what you're saying, and leave no wiggle room. You know that.
Yeah.
As a kid, oh, well, coach, you didn't tell me, no, there's no legal room. So we go over every aspect. I told you this, right? You tell them that. Oh, they go, yeah. So in that aspect is probably being more basic and slowing it down and just become the best teacher I could be. Because as a player, like I said, you think it's easy, basketball, and it's easy to do, but it's you're wearing so many different hats in as a coach, and in that aspect. But I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, because basketball, it's fun. you can always be creative and learn something every day.
So true, man. Well, look, Vince, man, I want to thank you again for being a guest on the show and being unmasked. Is anything you want to leave with the viewers before we go?
No, I think I commend you because for allowing coaches or future coaches to see what's behind this and learning, and gives them a leg up on that. And I think as a coach, the most important thing is being a great teacher and a listener, and not putting your values on some other kid, because it's a process. These kids are all young, and they're gonna screw up just like we did. You can't never forget when you were that age, you did the same stuff, and never feel that you were way above somebody else. I tell the guys all the time, I did the same dumb stuff you did back then, and I learned from it. But I commend you on having this, man, and it's great having Unmasked and reaching out, and it's a great teaching tool. And man, thanks for having me, and I'm honored to do it for you, man.
And you're welcome, and thank you for those great words. And I want to thank the viewers for watching another great show. Stay tuned for the next guest as we get them unmasked. See you next time, and stay safe.